Hello, I hope you're all well. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about 6 things I think are really important, things that we have done to promote family closeness in our little unit of 6 here. Here we go. As of the airing of this video, Hannah and I are out of town. We are on a little mother-daughter senior trip. Super excited to be having this time to spend with her. We're headed to California. We're going to be visiting some family there. So it should be great. We're getting out of the snow, which is wonderful. It is snowing here right now. It's the day before I leave and it's snowing. So anyway, this is a video that has been suggested that I make, requested, and so I thought, now is good a time as any. I know it's not a topic that will interest everyone, but it might be useful to some of you, so I thought I would share. So just a little background for anyone who is new. I am 46. I'm 46. My husband is 50. And we have 4 children. They range in age. The youngest is almost 18 and the oldest will turn 24 this year. So that gives you an idea. We did have children young. I was 23. I was 21 when I got married and 23 when our first child was born. She was very intentional. All of my friends were having babies and I was like, I want to have a baby. So there you go. That's how we started our family. And my husband and I both were attending school when we had young children. We were in graduate programs and we did not have a lot of money. We had 4 children in 6 years. So I had my 4th child by the time I was 29. And then I had to have C-sections every single time. There's a long story behind that maybe I'll tell you someday. But it had to do with Maddie's birth. She got stuck and they had to do a special type of incision. And after that incision, they don't like you to try to have a natural birth. So I had to have C-sections. So they capped me off at 4. So at 29 years old, I knew my family was complete unless there was some miracle that was going to happen. So 4 is where we stopped, but it has been wonderful. I love my children. Chris loves we just love being parents. We've loved being parents. It has been a wonderful and difficult, don't get me wrong, a challenging experience, but very, very rewarding. And we have created a family that is close. And what you see in the vlog is true. We enjoy each other. We spend a lot of time with each other. People are off in their own directions. There's kids at college and kids have jobs in their own apartments, but we come back together for holidays and we spend lots of time when we can together. And so I think this idea, a lot of people note it. They're like, are you really that close? Is it all just a show? It's not. We are, not that we don't have our problems, but we are legitimately a close family and we welcome people in. So if someone has a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or just someone who doesn't have a place to go on holidays, we're always opening our home. We like to practice hospitality and make anyone feel like they are a part of the family here because that's how we view people. And I always view it as, who is God putting in front of me? This is the person he's putting in front of me to serve right now. And so that's what I focus my energy on. So I thought I would share 6 things that we've done. And I thought about what have we done to create this? Because I know not all families have the same dynamic. And I do think it was very intentional. I've mentioned in another vlog that I did not have a super great close family growing up. I loved my mother dearly. I loved my dad. I loved everyone. There was no abuse or anything like that, but we just weren't close. And my dad was not very present and my brother moved fairly early on. Like we are 6 years apart and he moved away pretty early. Before I was even out of high school, he was gone. So we just didn't have the same closeness, so that when I got married and I had a family, I knew that I wanted it to be different. When I met Chris's parents are divorced, but his family is very close and his siblings all got along. And so when I came into the family, they just welcomed me in with open arms and I felt like a sibling there and I felt like a daughter immediately. And it's just been such a great blessing to be part of Chris's family. And I knew that, just because you don't have an experience of something great doesn't mean you can't change course and you can't make something great for the next generation, for your family. And so so I kind of took what I learned from entering Chris's family, and we've kind of applied that to our home. Okay, so getting to the 6 things that I think, and I'm sure there's more, but these are the ones that I thought of off the top of my head when I sat down to think about this topic. And I've kind of put them in order of importance. So, the number one thing, honestly, this is the number one thing that I think, and not that if you don't have this, you can't have a close family, but I do really think this majorly contributed to our family dynamic. Live in a smaller home. So when we had our first child, we lived in an apartment. When we had our second child, we still lived in an apartment. And then by the time we had Gabe, actually, we had him and we were in an apartment. And then we bought a house when we had Gabe. But houses in New Jersey at the time were very expensive. And so what we could afford is probably smaller than what we really needed for our family size. So we wound up buying a little bungalow. It was previously like a beach vacation bungalow, and people had added on. It had 3 sort of bedrooms, really 2 bedrooms, plus like something that could be used as a bedroom. And it had a front porch. I don't have any pictures. I don't have any pictures that are digital. That would be easy to pop in here. But it had a screened porch that had been turned into like a 4-season porch. And that's where we put our television. And then we had a living room, and we made a dining area out of the living room, and then a kitchen and 1 bathroom and a little tiny yard. We had a swing set that we had bought from Amish country, and it was trucked to our house. We had a picnic table out there. And so we lived in a smaller home. And then when we moved to Minnesota, we moved to a bi-level again. So we are 4 children, 2 adults, and we always lived in 3-bedroom homes. And so 2 of our children always had to share. At one point, Gabe and Hannah shared when they were really little. Most of the time it was Maddie and Molly sharing. And then as they aged, Hannah and Molly have wound up sharing. So that's always been a thing, that there really haven't been enough bedrooms for everyone to have their own. And there's always just been like not a huge basement where people go and they just hang out by themselves. It's always kind of been, we're all in the same area together, whether they're little or big. That's just kind of, how it's worked out. And so what that did was it forced us to figure out how to be together, and not just be together, but to enjoy each other's company. Because, if you're doing that 24 hours a day, you figure out how to like it, because you don't want to be unhappy. So living in a smaller home, I really think makes a difference for the family dynamic. There's not always somewhere that people can go and be off by themselves. And you just learn how to live together, and it builds the idea that, we like to be together. We're used to being together, so that when you get a bigger house, like even here, we still mostly, when we're all here, we still mostly all hang out in the family room. So, we're still together. And through the whole pandemic, we didn't have a problem because we were so used to kind of being on top of one another, living together, being together, existing together, getting along, resolving conflict. It's not that there's never conflict, but you just get used to that. So that would be my first number one thing. If you can tolerate living in a smaller home, or if you have to live in a smaller home, don't think of it as a bad thing, because I actually really think that that's the number one thing that helped us to create a family that's close. The second thing is create habits of doing things together. So we laugh, but we used to have forced family fun night. So, we called it that when they were older. We would make a joke about it, but we still did it. But when they were little, we would have Friday night movie night. As they aged, we still had Friday night movie night. Or if we couldn't do Friday nights, if people had activities, we always made a point of doing things together. Well into like even some of them going off to college. Like, we created these habits of just, we spend time together as a whole family. At least, it was once a week when they were little, and then as they aged, maybe it was once a month, but it was still intentionally spending time together, doing things together. So again, that just promotes this feeling of closeness. You get used to being with one another. You have lots of conversations and you're building memories together. And I do think, and it's not practical always, but eating together, when the children were younger, we got to eat together a lot more. We always ate together on Sundays after church. And it doesn't have to just be your family, but even your family with other families. That's always something that we did. And then we always tried to eat dinner together, and not necessarily at the table. Sometimes we'd watch a movie and eat pizza and have a picnic. I used to spread blankets in the family room, not here, but in a different home with a family room. We would spread blankets and we'd say, let's have a picnic on the floor. But we were eating together. And again, it's that idea of sharing conversation and, just being with one another. So at least a few times a week, I would say, make sure you try to eat together. Even if you can only do like a Saturday meal, a Sunday meal, whatever your faith system, dictates works. If you don't have a faith system, just implement it in your family, to have one day that you have as a family meal together. And then if you can eat together other nights too, that's great. But I know, kids are busy. They have lots of activities. And even mine, as they aged, it got a little more challenging. That's why we went to like Sundays. And yeah, so purpose to eat together. It doesn't have to be every night. Be involved with your kids' activities, if you can. I'm a dance mom, so I would go to the activities, but it's not just going and watching. It's like going and getting to know their friends and being someone who their friends can, enjoy and know and feel comfortable with. And then also not just you going to the kids' activities, volunteering at school. Even I still volunteer at Hannah's high school. Not a lot, but she knows like once a month I'm at her school doing something. So you just keep that idea of like, I am involved in your life. And also, but that's not just that, it's also encouraging them to support each other in their activities. So like, if Molly has a choir concert, as many of us can go, we'll go. Like she just had one, and me and Chris wound up not going because he was sick, but me and Hannah went. And, if Hannah has a dance comp, she had a dance competition last year, and like everyone was home from college. So it's kind of an expectation. If you're available, you go, and all along, like if Gabe was in a play, we would all go see the play. Hannah does ballets. Gabe does not like ballet, but we always made him go. And now he even tries to go because we've kind of built that habit. Like, oh, my sister or brother is doing something, I should go and support them. Oh, Hannah's getting home. Let me go say hello and then I'll continue. Okay, she's home from school and she's going to finish packing and everything's great. So that's good. Okay, so the fifth thing is, this is so important. Talk to your children, which sounds so silly, but I mean, talk to them like they are human beings. Don't just talk down to them like they're children. Talk to them, like get on their level. When they're little, get down on the floor and have a conversation with them. Ask them their opinion of something. Ask them what they think about something. As they grow, we always said you can talk to us about anything, and that's anything. Things that seem taboo, you're the one that they need to be able to talk to, because if they can't talk to you, they will find someone to talk to, and they may not get the best ear or advice. So even if it makes you uncomfortable as a parent, be willing to talk to them about anything and everything that you possibly could think of that they would want to talk about, and build those habits of talking to them from the earliest days. Even when they're babies, talk to them. I would ask my babies, like, oh, how are you today? And they would babble at me in baby talk. And I would say, yes, that's so great. I'm so happy to hear. So you're building this idea of we have conversations in our home. So that is just something, if you haven't done it all along, you can start today. You can start by when your child gets home from school, ask them how their day went. Don't let them just say, it was all right. Say, hey, did you learn anything new? Or did everything go okay with friends? Did you eat with so-and-so at lunch? Or what did you eat? It could be as simple as, hey, what did you eat at lunch today? Oh, did you like it? Things like that. Just have conversations with your children so that you're building this habit of having conversations. So as they grow, now Maddie and I have lovely adult conversations. She's 23. And because we've always talked, so talking continues, just habit forming. And then the last thing is kind of an all-encompassing piece of advice. You can apply it in many areas, but be intentional. And so I wrote a few examples down. Take trips. Take road trip. We don't take expensive vacations. Take road trips. Take a 2-hour drive if you're able. Take a bus ride. If you don't have money, just take trips. Drive to a local park or take a bus. Do something together. Be intentional. Bring a picnic. Don't just take your kids to the playground and let them run off while you're on your phone. Really play with them when they're little. And then when they're older, take them places. And again, doesn't have to be expensive, but just that time, spending that time together is so important. Also, Minnesota winters are very long. And when you have 4 small children, the gap between Christmas and like Easter and spring is very large. So like Valentine's Day falls in there. So when they were real little, we used to make Valentine shirts. I would get t-shirts and puff paint and we'd make shirts. I mean, it was so much fun, and it just gave them something to look forward to. We always did pet birthdays. So if it was someone's fish's birthday, we would make cupcakes, or for the dog's birthdays, we'd make cupcakes, just fun things that you do that become like a habit. Like these cookies that you've seen us make. The reason my kids love those cookies so much is because we've always made them. We've made them for pet birthdays. We've made them for Valentine's Day. We've made them for Christmas for always. We've always made them for Easter. I mean, it's just something we've always done. So just building these traditions and these activities, these fun things that make memories together. And then another one, share your beliefs with your kids. It doesn't mean that they're going to believe what you believe, but let them know what you believe. And this kind of goes along with, with talking to your child. It's like sharing your beliefs. It's important to share what you think, and not in a way that makes them feel like they have to share the same thing, but they grow up knowing like, oh, my mom or my dad or my grandma, if you happen to be a grandma raising a kid, my mom or my dad, they believe these things. So those are my 6 things. Live in a smaller home, create habits of doing things together, eat together sometimes, be involved with each other, talk to each other, and be intentional. So anyway, I hope that this was interesting and maybe provides some insights into our family, into things that we have done. Maybe it's something you can apply to your relationships or your family. And I will see you when I get back from my trip with Hannah. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.